He's effective out high or down low. Here he is out high. Holds, waits, fires, and scores! Matvey Michkov has his first goal at the Wells Fargo Center.
This is episode 124 of the Liberty Yell. My name is Chris Stumpo alongside Derek Dunn. And it's good to be back, Derek. It's good to be back. No Flyers hockey, but we do have Olympic hockey. The women just won gold. Shout out Megan Keller. What a fucking goal that was. But yeah, no Flyers hockey. We have Olympics to talk about, but good to be back. How are you, Derek?
I'm very good. I mean, we were kind of joking around before we got on the air. I'd say part of the reason I'm very good is because I've been getting to watch Olympic hockey instead of Flyers hockey.
But seriously, the play in this tournament, and I know it's not anything, I'm not saying anything out of this world, but it is so good. It is so fun watching good players play hockey, Derek. Isn't that like a really crazy thing to say?
Good players are playing high-stakes hockey, and what's impressive is there's a little bit of a synergy with everybody from day one. Like, you could picture a world where some of these teams had a little bit of an all-star game feel where it was like, yeah, we just grabbed a bunch of dudes who are fucking elite at the game but have not played with each other for longer than 5 seconds, and so they kind of make some weird plays. That's happened before. But with this, no. Every team has hit the ground running. Even teams who were supposed to be a little bit more of a pushover compared to the superpowers, like Chechnya, have been good, like really legitimately good. Or Slovakia has been legitimately good. I don't think there's been any teams in the tournament other than France who just don't even look like they belong.
Italy too.
Yeah, Italy too. Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I said France, I was like, well, wait, there's Italy.
I think they had 60 shots against in one of their games a couple days ago.
They're playing Rick Tocchett hockey, that's all.
I made sure to tell my dad he wasn't very happy that I was giving him that news about Italy. But to go on your point, I was saying something to myself the other day. It's so much different from when I was growing up, the Olympics, because like you said, you're so used to those top teams just dominating. And then like you have the bottom feeders who kind of go into the tournament knowing that they're not going to win. But I mean, let me go over the leading point scorers and what country they're from. I'm just going to go down the countries. Canada, Sweden. Now, this is point leaders 1 through whatever. Canada, Sweden, Canada, Czechia, Germany, Slovakia, United States, Canada, Sweden, Switzerland, United States, Canada, Slovakia, Germany, Czechia, United States, Sweden, Finland, Canada, Czechia. Like all different countries, all different play styles, all different kind of personality. Like it's crazy to see just how good every team is. And I'm so glad you brought that point up to start because that's something that I've been thinking about. I was even talking to my pops about it. Like, even back when he was more into hockey than he is now, it was never like this. Teams being, like, just seeing the skill, like you said, even on team, even Switzerland is fun to watch. It's crazy, dude. Like, it's really good hockey. I hope people who don't maybe watch NHL hockey every day tuned in. I know I have a couple friends who aren't like the biggest hockey fans in the world texting me being like, man, this is just great hockey. I wish we could watch this all the time. Yeah, me too. But we're probably just going to expand more anyway and just see worse and worse product on the ice.
Well, it's funny because with all of the talk about the right way, and we've turned it into a little bit of a meme for good reason, I think. What I've noticed about the Olympics, and I think it was to a lesser extent even prevalent in 4 nations, there really is no right way to play NHL hockey or hockey at the highest level anymore. Like, you will see teams really thrive doing completely different stuff. Or all of a sudden we're getting a little bit of a styles makes fights dynamic where in the World Juniors this year, Canada was really struggling against Chechnya, I think it was. And all of a sudden, Sweden comes in and Sweden makes them look not very good. And it's like, well, wait, does that mean Sweden's a lot better than Canada? Well, not really. It's just that Sweden is kind of built to handle the forecheck a little bit better than Canada is. And Canada could never really establish their forecheck as hard as they tried. And now all of a sudden you can really dig into the weeds of like, why is this team succeeding in this environment? And how many environments will they see similar success in? Instead of just being like, well, this team's just better. You don't really get as much of that anymore. You don't really get, well, analysis over, team better. Like the Americans. Exactly. The Swedes have their own way of playing and it works and they have the talent to do it. The Finns have a similar but still different way of playing. And then the Americans and the Canadians, it's kind of the same thing. It's really cool to watch. And you're probably only going to see that exaggerate as the years go on and as more and more play styles kind of work their way into the NHL and then international play by default. It's really cool. It's a really fun time to get into hockey, honestly. Like absolutely. You're probably about to see a period of legitimate growth for the game. Partly because the Olympics are back and partly because it feels like we're entering a phase where there are a lot of players to grow the game around.
Absolutely. I think you see more of a personality from NHL players now than you did even a decade ago, for sure. And I think the Four Nations has helped out with that as well, growing the game, getting people who don't necessarily watch hockey every night to get into it, sit down and watch it. And I think I saw a tweet a couple of days ago about the viewership, and I couldn't give you an actual number because I would be lying to you, but it was pretty good considering it was hockey. I know it was on an Olympic stage, so you have people tuning in who don't necessarily watch. But like you said, it's been extremely good hockey. And before we hit record, we were talking about Lucas Raymond being second in the tournament in points. He has 1 goal, 8 assists, and he's on Team Sweden. So it's crazy to see him put up those kind of points. And that's not saying that Sweden is bad by any means, but put up those points that not on a powerhouse team like Canada. And even the United States, I think you can call the United States a powerhouse team. I mean, that team is fucking disgusting to watch.
And it's only getting better and better for the Americans. Like, they legitimately, at this point, I think people really criticizing the roster construction of Team USA had hit on a really good point. Like, they're still trying to replicate the Miracle on Ice. Like, oh yeah, we're the underdogs, but we're going to come in and we're going to play hard-nosed defensive hockey, and that's why we need to bring this dude, that dude, and the other dude. When in reality, I don't think they need to think that way anymore. Like, the Americans should be thinking of themselves as like, we are equal with Canada and we just need to prove it. Like, they are the co-favorites of every tournament right now because they have a disgusting roster. They have as much talent as anybody. And yeah, okay, they don't have McDavid and they don't have McKinnon. They don't have a player I would consider to be in the top 3 of the league. That's okay because they practically own a monopoly on players 5 through 10.
Exactly.
If you rank NHL players, okay, from 4 to 10, like 7 of them are going to be on USA.
Let me say this to you real quick. Which defense would you rather have? I'll go through them. Thomas Harley, Kel McCarr, Devin Taves, Drew Doughty, Shea Theodore, Josh Morrissey, Travis Sanheim, or Colton Parayko. Or Quinn Hughes, Brock Faber, Noah Hannafin, Zach Werenski, Jake Sanderson, Jacob Slavin, and Charlie McAvoy.
I would rather have USA's. I don't even really struggle that much with it.
Not at all. And I'm not even being a homer as a United States citizen saying that either. Like, that defense is a lot better, and I don't even think it's close.
It's really not. It's impressive, really. Like, the amount of talent that we have coming into USA hockey right now, it's phenomenal. Because once upon a time, it used to be a little bit of a niche because, like, you know, Patrick Kane would be climbing up the American leaderboards, and now I guess Austin Matthews will do it. The American leaderboards, as far as NHL points scored by an American, goals scored by an American, that's about to be a very tough distinction. Like, a lot of players are about to make a run at those records, and it's pretty exciting.
And it's not to mention how good Connor Hellebuck has been. He's 3-0 with a 0.98 goal against average and a 958 save percentage so far.
Yeah, that's the thing. All those top 10 forwards, you have the best defensive core in the tournament probably, and you also have the best goalie in the world.
Pretty good, man. So going back to what we were saying. Going back to what we were saying a couple of minutes ago, it's definitely can call them a powerhouse in this tournament, in my opinion. But real quick, who is the defenseman that's coming up in this draft that is playing top? I don't think he's on a top power play, but I know he's playing Smiths. What's his name?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
We'll get into it later, but I just wanted to get the name out there because he was extremely impressive for an 18-year-old kid playing in the fucking Olympics. Yeah, well,
highest level, and he was one of their best players. He was making plays on both sides of the puck. Really impressive. I mean, the running joke I had about Keith Jones and Sam Dickinson.
I knew you were going to go here. I knew you were going to say something about Keith.
Magnify it by 3 times with Albert Smiths, and you know what, Keith, buddy, I'm right there with you.
It's crazy because there's a couple of defensemen in this draft that you have personally talked about that you think that the Flyers would be in love with. I think Reed is the other defenseman that I'm talking about. What is his first name? Chase Reed.
Yep.
I believe.
Chase Reed.
And then you have obviously Albert Smiths. Is that how you say? How do you say his last name?
I think it's Albert Smiths. There's an S at the end of both.
I'm on Tankathon right now, and they have him going 4th to Calgary.
I wouldn't be that shocked. I mean, there's a certain archetype of player that goes in the top 5, and Smiths looks like it.
I think I need to start. This is the latest that I've ever started diving into the draft. I think I need to start when I get back from Cancun is when I'm going to start. I leave tomorrow, so I'll get back into it. But yeah, they have Albert Smiths and then Chase Reed to Winnipeg at 5th. So there are 2 defensemen right there that. And then you have Veerhoff, obviously, who could go top 2. But those are 3 defensemen right there that are going to be inside the top 5.
Yeah.
So
it's interesting. There's been a lot of debate and discourse online. I suppose there always is with rebuilding teams, but the Flyers have gone deeper into it this year about the merits and demerits of tanking. One of the things that people are kind of missing talking about, you can get talent outside of the top 5, and no, you can't. You can get certain kinds of talent outside of the top 5, but there is also a certain kind of talent that you will never see that person picked outside of the top 5 because every single NHL person is in love with them. Albert Smiths is going to be a great example. Albert Smiths may not be, at the end of the day, a top 5 player in his draft class. I'm not saying he won't be, but maybe he won't be. Maybe he will be. Either way, he will be going top 5 because he is the exact archetype that every single NHL team loves. And the Flyers are finding themselves in a position to where, yes, they can get underappreciated and undervalued talent that should have gone in the top 5 of their draft, but didn't because they weren't one of those archetypes like a Porter Martone, like a Matvei Michkov. But what they can't get is the guy that everybody knows should go top 5 in a draft because all those guys are going top 5 in a draft. They're not going to be able to draft any 6'4", big-time premier number 1 defenseman. All those guys are going top 5 in the draft. They might be able to draft some undersized next lane Hudson kind of deal as a defenseman, but they'll never be able to draft a Albert Smiths unless they tank completely during a year. Or, a number 1 center who Macklin Celebrini is a crazy exception, but let's just say a number 1 center who has the skill to be a number 1 center, but also checks all these intangible boxes that NHL teams look for out of centers. Where are you going to get that guy outside of the top 5? Answer, you're not. It's not going to happen because every NHL team is in love with that dude. So it's kind of missing the point to say, well, you can get elite talent outside of the top 5. Yes, you can. The Flyers have done it. But you can't get the kinds of elite talent that they need and don't have. Like, we don't need to draft another Matvei Michkov. We got one.
See, like, that's the thing. The people that you mentioned are both wingers, and wingers fall in drafts because teams, like you say, they fall in love with those prototypes, especially if they're centers or a defenseman. You very rarely see the prototypes of a Smith and a Reed drop below 5 or 6. I mean,
exactly.
Albert is 6'3", 205, and Chase is 6'2", 187. And I know he's a right-handed shot, so that makes him even more attractive to teams. So it's funny you said that about like the defenseman. Like they'll have to take more of an undersized guy because in this Tankathon mock draft, they have the Flyers at 12th, drafting Ryan Lynn, 5'11", 176, has 50 points in 42 games right now.
And Ryan Lynn is very, very good. Now, is he a little bit sort of Cam York coded, a little bit kind of Jamie Drysdale coded? Does he end up in this sort of in-between land where he's neither a premier shutdown guy nor is he a premier offensive guy? Yeah, he could end up like that. He could also end up one of the best defensemen in the league. Like, that's one of his outcomes. He's that good as a pure hockey player. So I would be ecstatic if they did get Ryan Lynn. And Ryan Lynn will definitely go lower on draft day than his talent level suggests that he should. But, you know, the Flyers might look at Ryan Lynn like they did look at Zeev Boyum and be like, well, don't we have this guy already? And then pass on him.
Yeah, but how many times are you going to do that when the guys that you currently have aren't needle movers, other than maybe Drysdale?
You probably shouldn't do it any times, but they keep doing it because NHL teams are dumb.
It's unreal because, I mean, like the Boehm thing, I'm not really too upset about. Like, I think he's going to be a good player, but I do think a lot of people overrated him. I don't think he's like this superstar guy that is just going to like take over games. But I mean, we could talk about that draft as much as we want to, and the Flyers' decision to go with wherever they did. But it kind of walks us into our first question from Andrew. So let's say the Flyers drafted 11. Is there a way to move up a couple spots and get Lawrence? Is this something that you would do? Also, when is the TK cost controlled plus Toronto first for Jason Robinson going to be announced? Deadline or after the season? I'll hang up and listen.
Hopefully ASAP. If we can get Jason Robertson in here for the price of Travis Konechny, I think even the most ardent Travis Konechny supporter will be like, yeah, we have to do that.
I know it's a swap, but another winger to Philadelphia. Throw that fucking meme out there. This is the only thing we trade for is wingers. But is there a way to move up a couple slots and get Lawrence? It depends on where Lawrence is going to go. Tankathon has him 7th. I know that's not written gospel, and I'm not saying it. Maybe it's possible. I mean, you rarely see teams move up within the top 10 in drafts.
It was more realistic back before we traded all of our firsts and all of our excess capital for Jack Nesbitt. Like we sort of did this already, but we did it with Jack Nesbitt. As in, like, you know, we're going to package up all of the excess capital that we spent or that we tried so hard to accumulate for one big swing at a center. We did it. It was Jack Nesbitt. It was an awful idea. It was a ridiculously stupid big swing to take. I really don't think Danny gets enough shit for it, and I haven't given him enough shit for it purely because of Porter Martone. Because Porter Martone is so wonderful that whenever I think of the 2025 NHL draft, I tend to think about Porter Martone. However, if I do manage to put that to the side, I also have to think about the fact that Danny Briere spent about $40 million cumulative on Jack Nesbitt, on acquiring the picks to get Jack Nesbitt. I don't understand. He spent 3 years and $40 million to get 2 extra first-round picks in the same draft, all to get Jack Nesbitt, who probably shouldn't even be a first-round pick in any draft. My exasperation is beyond description.
Can you tell that Derek likes Jack Nesbitt? Big fan. Big fan. But I mean, in your defense, he's not even a fucking point per game right now. I mean, he's barely, if he is, he's barely just there. And I mean, I don't think it's crazy to ask for your 12th pick to be
I
a
don't
fucking.
want to have to be in a situation where I'm shitting on Jack Nesbitt, because the truth is Jack Nesbitt should have been like a late first pick, late first round pick.
Yeah, I'll give you that
pick. And it's like, all right, yeah. Is it the greatest development curve I've ever seen? No, but it's fine. It's relatively low value. We took a swing. Shit happens. I'd love to be having that sort of analysis about Jack Nesbitt. Instead, I had to watch him take 27, which is where Jack Nesbitt probably should have went on the high end, 22, package those two things together to go up to 12th overall to get Jack Nesbitt. Like, no, He was not worth all that. He was not worth 12 overall is the first thing, but he also wasn't worth all of the things you did to accumulate the draft capital you had to make that trade. Like, you only had one shot. You had one bullet in the chamber, and you spent it on Jack Nesbitt.
I want you to reply to a fake. I mean, actually, it's not a fake comment because people have come at you on the timeline with this. But the people that come out and say he's young, give him a chance to develop. Like, what do you say to people who just think you're crazy for talking about a young kid like that?
Well, look, yes, he can take an outlier development path and he can accumulate talents he didn't have before. He can absolutely do all that. That has happened before, but it's very, very exceedingly rare. When we're talking about prospects, we're ultimately talking about percentages and probabilities. I'm sitting here dumping on Jack Nesbitt, not because Jack Nesbitt did not deserve to be taken in the NHL draft. I'm sitting here dumping on Jack Nesbitt because Danny decided to take a very low percentage bet he put a lot of proverbial money on a very low percentage bet. Like, if we're playing basketball, do you want to take a 3-point shot from past the half court line with 20 seconds left on the shot clock? No, you do not. But do you see, well, that shot could go in, Nobody says that. Everybody's like, no, dumbass, keep dribbling the ball up the floor and get a better shot. Run a pick and roll. What the hell are you doing? With the Flyers, though, it's like, well, that shot from behind the half-court line could go in. You don't know. You haven't seen the shot be taken yet. So how can you sit here and say that it's a bad thing to take a shot from behind the half-court line? Like, Danny was out here heaving the ball as soon as he inbounded it with 22 seconds left on the shot clock, down 2 with 24 seconds left in the game. I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. And we can try and cope. It's legitimately what people are doing. I don't talk about this often. I don't run around going cope to everything people say to me. But the purest essence of cope is, well, you just don't know, Derek. No, you're right. I don't literally know. I don't have a crystal ball. I can, however, determine probabilities, just as you can determine probabilities. And the truth of the matter is you've determined the same probabilities that I have, but you just don't want to say it.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, they just don't like the fact that you're being quote unquote mean. I mean, I think that's the main thing that I personally gotten extremely annoyed with people on Twitter. Like, I personally think that you should be able to have discussions with people where you disagree with them. I think too many people on Twitter are scared of debate. And I mean, sometimes do you get personal with people? Yeah. Do people come out of nowhere and get personal with you? For sure. But the idea that opinions get dismissed the way they do, especially on Flyers Twitter, could Derek be wrong? Yeah, but the percentage chance that he isn't is high.
Yeah, exactly. And frankly, can I be wrong? Actually, no, because what I'm saying is not. Let me explain why. As funny as that sounds, but what I'm saying is not.
I think I know what you're saying, but go ahead.
Yeah, oh, well, Jack Nesbitt literally could not possibly turn out to be worth the 12th overall pick and the trade we made to get him. This is a literal physical impossibility. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this was a really low percentage thing to hope for. And just because there's a 2% chance of success does not mean I can't point out that there's a 98% chance of failure and you never should have taken those odds. Yeah, even if Danny turns out to be right, it was still bad.
Yeah, because I mean, look at the player that the Penguins picked
Kindle.
After him.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Well, I think it was the pick before. Like I think the Penguins had both 11 and 12, but
they did.
Even still, like those two players were taken right next to each other.
Yep.
It's kind of silly.
You know what I kind of think, and I know I'm playing devil's advocate here, but when I know this is my second pod bringing them up, but how ironic would it be if Morgan Frost, the guy who destroyed juniors, but just couldn't translate that to the NHL, he doesn't work out. What if the guy who just doesn't destroy juniors, what if his game translates in the NHL better than Morgan did, and he's actually a pretty good NHL player?
Hey, it can happen. I mean, honestly, I would have been willing to take that chance with Luchanko. Like, back in his D+1, I was willing to say, all right, look, maybe his game just isn't built for juniors. And then the Flyers were told me, and was like, no, Derek, you're wrong. He's going back to Guelph, and he is going to prove it. He's going to prove that he's actually a great junior scorer. And never happened.
It's crazy to say that you have an argument that the best center prospect that the Flyers have are neither of those two guys.
It's funny, right? Because you could legitimately say it's
That's
Jack
sad
Berglund.
Or funny?
Both. It's tragic humor.
It's cool that they found Jack where they did, and he could be a good player. But the fact that a 12th overall pick and Jet Luchanko, two, are both. I mean, anyone, whether you think they're going to be good players, whether you don't, I think you can be objective here and say they are both huge question marks for where they're picked. I think they both could be good players. I mean, it's a tricky road to go down because you obviously don't know. Like Derek said, you don't have a fucking crystal ball, but the chances, like you said, that they took on them are concerning. Like there are genuine concerns with these two players and how they translate to the NHL.
Yeah, I mean,
and I think that's pretty sad considering it. Like center is their deepest need, and you go with two. I mean, is the thinking behind it like let's go with question marks, and maybe the question mark fucking turns into a diamond in the rough? Like that's an insane thought process. But I'm trying to get behind what they could be thinking with that because
that would make sense if they had extraordinarily high ceilings, or
certain traits, like extraordinary traits, like they did. I mean, I know Jet skates extremely well, but I mean, it only takes
an outlier trait. It's not Nathan McKinnon.
Yeah.
Or Jack Nesbitt. I know he's big, but so are plenty of players. It's not something that's unique to him.
Yeah. It's just, that's where I am with it. We'll see where the players turn out. And I think that conversation can go even to the Flyers drafting scheme. What are they doing there? But in terms of the players, they are two guys that are huge question marks and really shouldn't be, especially considering where we are. So I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and you actually made a good point because I think my biggest problem with both the Luchanko and the Nesbitt picks is it suggests something about how they view the center position, which I think is fundamentally wrong. And we've talked about this before. They are really limiting themselves here by thinking that the center has to be a third defenseman. They are picking centers who can fulfill the role of third defenseman. And guess what? They have that at the NHL level. And it sucks because the primary thing that separates a center from a winger at the NHL level is not defense anymore. It did used to be fair. And it's still a consideration. It's no longer the primary consideration. the big primary consideration, what makes centers good and what makes centers not so good, is your transition play, your ability to drive transition up the middle and make things easier going into the offensive zone for both your wingers and defensemen. Now, Jet might be able to do that. We'll see. That's why I had a little bit more hope for him than like Nesbitt, even Berglund to an extent, because it's like, well, he kind of accidentally maybe checks both boxes. But for the most part, that's not a guarantee. First of all, that's not even close to a guarantee.
No.
He skates well enough, but I don't know that he handles the puck well enough. And the big problem is that handling the puck is probably a bigger consideration than skating as far as driving transition results as a center. There was a great piece a while back that talked about the differences between coming down the wing and coming down and being in the center as far as driving transition. And the best way to conceptualize it is when you're a winger, the threats that you could possibly encounter are cut in half because the wall is on one side of you. You can have a threat coming from ahead of you, or you can have a threat coming from the side of you, and there's 180 degrees of a possible threat vector. With a center who's in the middle of the ice, that 180 degrees becomes 360 degrees. You can get threats from any angle. You have to be ready to protect the puck and make a play when somebody's coming at you from all directions. And so you get guys who are really, really good at that can drive exceptional play as far as a transition offense up the middle, like Robert Thomas. Robert Thomas, until just yesterday, wasn't that fast of a skater. Like, I think last year, he really started to put skating speed together. He's been a great transition center this entire time because he's great at sensing threats from any direction. He's great at handling the puck and making a play out of that. That is how you have to play as a center in the NHL. And it's the sort of thing that the only person on this team who's capable of doing it and regularly plays the center position is Zegras. And even Zegras, I do understand why there's a little bit of hesitation to putting him at center because, like, especially in this system, that defense is ugly.
Yeah, he's not very good defensively, especially like you said in this system. Like below the goal line, he gets ragdolled, especially against bigger centers. So I honestly, that's the one thing that Tocchett has done that I've complained about. That where I kind of think about it, I'm like, okay, kind of agree with him there. I kind of see why Anaheim made that switch.
I both understand it and do think at the same time it's somewhat of a self-fulfilled prophecy because this time last year it wouldn't have been nearly as big an issue. When you were playing a more committed zone and you were telling Zegras to play in the passing lanes, you're not going to run into those same situations nearly as often. But instead, now the center's playing defenseman number 3. They're matched man up with the other center unless they're covering for one of the defensemen. And no, Zegras really isn't equipped to play that way.
Yeah. I think my biggest thing with the Zegras and the center and what they're doing and what Tocchett's doing with it is at the end of the day, the Flyers should be in a position to where they are playing players to see what they have. And they're not. They're playing. I mean, this is going to sound like I don't want them to win, but it's not what I'm saying. But they're playing to win every game. They're playing to squeeze out every single win that they possibly can. And playing Zegras on the wing with Dvorak between him and Konechny is the best chance to win. And what they should be doing is putting like Michkov in the top 6, Zegras at center to see what they have. Maybe you have an answer at C with Zegras. He has to work at the defensive game to be able to become good at it. And I know that they've been playing him at center before the break happened. But they should be playing him there. They should have been playing him there all year to see what they possibly have. And that's like the philosophy disagreement that I have with this team. Like they don't necessarily put players in a position to give them a bigger role. They would rather put them in a position to squeeze out a win, if that makes any sense at all. Like,
it makes total sense. Like, I was thinking about this just recently. I think we totally underrate as a fan base how much Rick Tocchet watched some of the preseason stuff, like the preseason tape that Zegras and Michkov were doing, because it was really high event. Like, they were generating a lot of chances and they were giving up a lot back. And Tocchet looked at that and said, oh my God, you can't play this way and expect to win in the NHL. Oh my God, I have to split this up yesterday, pronto, because he was doing all this in the preseason. Michkov, top line right wing, playing 19 minutes a night. Zegras playing center, playing 19 minutes a night. Both of them on power play 1. They're doing their thing. They're playing through transition. They're playing never dump the puck in hockey. They are turning pucks over at times. They're making stupid plays at times, but they're also making great plays, making people look stupid, getting clips. And it was fun hockey for the preseason as far as that goes. They were a rebuilding team. They were like, all right, that's what it should
be.
Yeah, that's exactly how it should have been. Like, we were watching the way the Flyers should be looking right now. And Rick Tocchet looked at that and said, this is cancer. I can't have this. And proceeded to do all of the shit that we're complaining about now because, oh my God, we have to tighten up defensively. We have to do this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, this is not where the Flyers are as a team. The Flyers are not a good team that gives up too many chances because they don't play structured enough hockey. The Flyers are a team who are trying to figure out who the primary pieces of the next good team will be. And we have made almost 0 steps in determining that. Like, people have talked about, well, do we trade Zegras to go find another center? I mean, why are we sitting here talking about we might have to trade Trevor Zegras because we have such a logjam at wing? That's such a ridiculous conversation that we have to have. And it's not that it's wrong to have it given what we've been doing the last year. My point is that the Flyers put us in a conversation or in a position that we have to have this conversation is egregious. Like, we should know if Trevor Zegras is the center. Is a top 6 center. We should know by now. We spent a whole damn season and we are no closer to knowing, because let's be fair to Trevor. Tocchet waited until the season was freaking over and then said, well, okay, maybe we'll stick him at center. Yeah. And at that point, why am I surprised that Zegras is missing rotations, is getting out muscled, is doing this, that, and the other thing? Like, he had no opportunity to prepare for that during the season. He couldn't work his way into it. He couldn't get reps in at practice and improve his reads. No, it was just like, well, since my plan went to shit, I guess I'll throw Trevor Zegras at center. And he actually said it that way. It was like, well, because we're losing a bunch now, I guess I throw Trevor Zegras at center.
Yeah, got to switch it up a little bit.
You should have been doing that from game 1, you tard.
That's my thing, though. Like, to go on with what I was saying, the Flyers from the start of the season to maybe a week before the break happened, squeezing out. I mean, we talked about it in this game. On this podcast, squeezing out games, trying to win. I mean, playing the most defensive game you could possibly play, instead of just doing what you just went over. And look where they are. Like, you could be in the same fucking spot, if not a little bit worse, if you just played the young guys a lot and played Zegras at center and saw and put Michkov on power play 1 and just try things. This is the area. This is the space that you try things. Squeezing out wins with Sanheim, Konechny, and Dvorak is not the way to go. Like, that's what we've been trying to say. Trying to squeeze out games with fucking 28, 29, 30-year-olds when you have a bunch of young guys on the team where you need to see what they are, is Zegras a center? It's crazy to me because they're in the exact. Look where you are. You're 13th in the conference right now, trying to win, like doing your best to win, squeezing out games as best as you can. Dan Vladar stands on his head for fucking 4 months. The defense was really good the first 2 months, and then they kind of fell off a little bit. I think they picked it back up. I mean, personally, I think Drysdale's game picked up a little bit since we talked last. But it's so crazy to see they ended up at the exact spot that they probably would have been at if they just would have done the right thing. It's kind of like, I don't even want to say it like this, like, ha, you get what you deserve. But, like, it kind of, like, is that. Like, look what happened.
No, 100%. And it's not as if we're just coming out of nowhere with left field with some of this. I had a fascinating little thread on X with a Devils writer by the name of JP Gambatis. He's a very good follow on X if you're wanting to get a little bit more into other teams. He just does very good work. And he was talking about Emil Andre as a potential acquisition target for the Devils and going over, this is all the good stuff Emil Andre does. Yeah, there's some flaws in his game, but the reality of the situation is like Emil Andre is a severely undervalued player in his own franchise, and the Devils should get him because he would fix all the Devils' problems. And I wound up having a conversation with him, and even he said it, there is no way that this core of players should be this boring. Like, there is no way that this core of players should be this mundane to watch. It is purely a matter of decisions made by the coach, yes, but also by the franchise because they have allowed the coach to do it. Like, when you have people who don't watch the Flyers every day going, okay, look, this team is nowhere near perfect, and it's not like you should expect to win a Stanley Cup or anything or even come meaningfully close to that, but you don't lack skill anymore. You're not like a team that can't score, or at least you shouldn't be. This is not the way that Flyers hockey should be looking right now. You shouldn't be getting skated off the rink on a daily basis. Like, you should be creating fun moments. And, Charlie O'Connor talked about the 8-year-old and having a dad taking his 8-year-old to the game to get him to fall in love with hockey. I don't know, maybe 8-year-olds start to think differently nowadays than when I was 8 or when you were 8. But I remember looking at cool shit happen and going, yeah, this hockey thing is great. I don't remember looking at Rick Tocchett hockey where absolutely nothing happens whatsoever and going, yeah, hockey is great because they happened to win when I had no attachment to them whatsoever.
Yeah, they happen to win the fucking a 3-2 shootout, and then they turn around and go, look, guys, we're in a playoff position. I think that's why everyone that agreed with us agreed with what they agreed with, because you watch what you watch, right? Like, it's so crazy. I felt like I was getting gaslit on the timeline for the first 2-3 months of the season. Like, were they winning? Yes. But if you didn't, just the way they were winning, it's just when Rick, I think it was Rick, turned around and was like, well, we're still in a playoff spot. It's like, dude, you've had like 5 shootout wins in the last 2 weeks. Like, that's not a sustain. Bringing teams to a 2-2 overtime, end of overtime game is not a sustainable way to win. And then asking Vladar to stand on his head. And it's just extremely frustrating thing to watch when, like, I think you made the point on X a couple days ago. This team has skill. They can play the way that we want them to. It's just like they don't.
Exactly.
At all.
They make the choice. And it's the same thing that Devils writer said. Like, look, there's a lot of things this team lacks. I'm not telling you they could fire Rick Tocchet and all of a sudden they'd be contending for the playoffs. But what they don't lack is skill, okay? Saying the team that employs Trevor Zegras and Matvei Michkov, 2 of the very most skilled players in the NHL, that team lacks skill? Come on, that is absurd.
Konechny, Tippett, Zegras, Michkov. Forster's hurt. Barkey. Like, these guys have skill. Drysdale, Yorkie. Like you said, nobody's saying that this team would make a fucking a Stanley Cup Finals run. if Taka got fired. But it would be like when Shaw was coach. It would be fun. Guys would be trying things.
Everybody would be
on
everybody
right
would be
after
so
Michkov.
worried.
What?
I saw this post in my mentions and it was so perfect. My only worry back when I was watching Shaw hockey was that they were too good and that the team might score too much and that they'd win the game when I wanted them to lose.
It's like these people who say, well, if they just let every young guy play and did what you guys wanted them to do, what if they just lose? And like, it doesn't work out that way. I'm like, oh, so if we just let guys try things and play to their strengths, and if it doesn't work out, we'd be in the same fucking spot that we're in right fucking now.
Exactly.
The exact same fucking spot. That's what's crazy to me. I could see if we were like second in the conference and he was squeezing out fucking like 6-3, 6-4 wins and like they were an actual good team. They're not. They're 13th in the conference right now. And like, I don't see things getting any better. I think the 2-3 months of what we saw was just this team playing over their head.
Yeah.
Personally.
I mean, we were saying it at the time. We were like, all right, the collapse is coming. The collapse is coming.
Yeah.
It's
I think
coming.
you wrote like 2 blogs about it. But seriously, like
starting in November.
And it's just like it's so many people come into my mentions talking about like you're negative and you're not a real fan because you're not rooting for them to win. And I've gone over it so many times on the podcast. Like, if you think I'm a bad fan or a fake fan because I saw through the winning a couple months ago, then like I really don't give a fuck about your opinion, to be honest. Like, I'm so tired of being nice to people.
I am so exhausted with people seeing what I say or what you say or what anybody says. It happens a lot on Flyers Twitter. I am so exhausted with people seeing through the prism of positive or negative rather than right or wrong. It's not when I look at somebody's opinion, I don't go, is that a positive opinion or is that a negative opinion? I go, oh, that's an opinion. Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it a little bit of both? I examine it that way. I don't go, well, you're negative and you post a lot of negative things. Okay, but am I wrong, though?
Yeah, no, they call you many names, but they never really call you wrong. We're trying to talk about what you're talking about in an objective sense. We're trying to have any kind of nuance in their thoughts.
I don't sit here and say this shit for my health. I would really love to get on this podcast and talk about all the great players we have. We don't have them. I would really love to get on this podcast and talk about all the great tactical things we're doing to get the most out of our guys. We don't have any.
Yeah, I think you said that on the timeline a couple months ago. Like, hey, you act like I go on here purposely and like try to be negative. If this was a good team, I'd be writing good things and talking about good things. It's not that hard. It's literally not that hard. Like, me and Derek don't agree on everything. I think Derek can sit here and tell you that. Like, we are not 100% in agreement with things, but we talk. We talk over text. We talk on here. I asked him to explain things. He asked me to explain my thought process. Like, that's how things should work. And it all goes back to what I was talking about when the podcast first started. There's no debate anymore on Twitter or X, whatever the fuck you want to call it. People just like the first time you get semi-confrontational, like not even confrontational, but like there's nothing wrong with a strong, heated debate, in my opinion. I think we need more of it on the timeline. I think people need to stop shying away from it. I think we need more open dialogue between people and their thoughts about this team, because I mean, it's been a decade plus of misery, and I'm so tired of people policing other people on how to feel about this team.
I'm genuinely tired of being able to text you and being like, man, it's so great that we haven't had Flyers hockey to watch for 2 weeks.
Yeah, like I think people think you like to indulge in this, like the Flyers being dead. That is what I'm talking about. The Flyers being what they are.
I would very much like them to stop being what they are, and I have what I believe to be a lot of thoughts that could help them stop being what they are. So I talk about them a lot. And so in the hope that slowly, gradually, more and more people will come along and have similar thoughts to mine. And eventually the organization will be like, hey, you know, all those fans that are starting to say this, that, and the other thing, maybe they have a point. And then the organization will start to behave in a way that I believe will lead to a better and more entertaining hockey team in the long term. That is really my only thought process with just about anything I post.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you even you engage in combative conversations on the timeline. You're never the one to be like, "Hey, man, that was too far." You're always the one to be like, "Hey, man, like you can take it." I'll give you credit, because if I had half the shit thrown at me that you do, I'd have anxiety about it, bro. I'd be on the fucking timeline like, I'm sorry, but like, seriously though, like for someone who gets like insults thrown at you all the time, you stay pretty objective. I mean, not objective. You stay pretty nice about things.
Yeah,
on the forefront.
I match energy a little bit. Sometimes I'll get especially tired of somebody's shit and I'll escalate every now and again. But for the most part, I generally manage to have a lot of fairly constructive hockey conversations, despite getting a lot of very annoying people in my mentions. A lot. Like, I have a rogues gallery.
Derek goes down swinging, okay? Derek goes down swinging.
But by the way, how did it take me to make a meme out of that part of the statement? Like, how is it every person should have been sitting there and going, wait a minute, why is the head coach talking about Matvei Michkov as if his fight or flight reflex just kicked in? Like, why did he hear a question and be like, oh, fuck, we're talking about Matvei Michkov? I'm going down swinging.
Dude, I was so fucking hyped for Bill Matz for asking that question, only to find out that he fucking apologized for it later.
That's absurd. He asked,
if that's true, come on, Bill. Come on, Bill.
If he apologized,
they had me in the first half. What'd you say?
First of all, that question, if he apologized for it, we have so many deeper problems than the question, because the question was very basic. It was it was very nicely and congenially worded, and B, the substance of the question is something that every single coach has had to answer about dozens of players every single year. It was a very, very basic question. The Stars have had conversations about this with Niels Lundqvist, of all players. And you're telling me that you can't answer a question like that about Matvei freaking Michkov. And if you make Rick Tocchet answer a question as simple as that about a player as important as Michkov, Bill Matz has to apologize for asking the question because Rick Tocchet can't handle it without having his fight or flight reflex kick in? And all of a sudden, that's just okay. That's just okay.
I saw it on X. I don't know if it's true. Someone's got to confirm it for me if he actually did apologize. I saw a couple people say it, but it's like,
first of all,
he says that about Michkov, and then you ask him about Noah Cates. He's like, well, we just got to get Cates in a position to succeed. And he start putting him around better players. I'm like, what the fuck is this, bro?
It's so obviously personal. I don't know how anybody could come to a different conclusion. Like, it's
absolutely. I mean, that's why everyone freaked the fuck out about it.
Yeah, and they should be, because it's really bad. It's really, really bad. Now, I'm not freaked out as much anymore, because my analysis from the very start was, if the team collapses, and the Flyers are put in a position where it's like, all right, we're going to have to choose between Michkov and Tocchet, then they're obviously going to choose Michkov. Where I was a little freaked out was when the team had not collapsed yet and was winning all those fake games. If it did come to a situation where they had to choose between Michkov and Tocchet, I could very easily see them being stupid enough to believe in those fake wins and be like, well, I guess we have to choose Rick Tocchet. Thankfully, that's not an issue anymore.
So back in November when I was in Vegas, I specifically remember you being like, yeah, he's gone, dude. Like he's getting traded. But like, I don't blame you for having the thought process of that after you explained why you think that way, because the Flyers were very obviously kind of duped with those wins. With the way they talked about them, with just like you could just tell by like rumors going out that they kind of wanted they wanted to go out and grab like a center, an older veteran center, like they need another one of those. It's not. Do I agree with it? No. Like, you can even say this. I would never thought that Michkov was going to get traded. I always thought that was a crazy fucking thought process. But I don't. Actually, I'll take that back. I don't think it's a crazy thought process because I'm just going to say, with the thought process that you have with it, I don't think it's that far out there. Like I see how you get there. Is what I'm trying to say, because they obviously were showing signs of being duped by it. They've done it before, so why wouldn't they do it again? But I
we might have a little bit of technical difficulties. I'm looking at Chris's frozen face here. We good? Okay, you're moving again. Your face is moving again. All right.
My apologies. I don't know what just happened. We are 55 minutes in.
And it was mid-rant, too. It was
I know.
Alex and the boys sent me their podcast, and Jamie Vascow was in the middle of ranting about the Tocchett map face situation. And it was one of those classic things where his service was in and out while he was doing the rant, and he didn't know it all. So he would just come in every 30 seconds, and he would be 30 seconds on. He didn't stop. He didn't come up for air whatsoever. And you just only got every third sentence. I was like, you know what? I have been there before.
Absolutely. We've all been there before, dude. I have no idea what to do to fix it. Like, all of my shit is hardwired. I have extremely fast internet. I don't know what to do. We do have a lot more questions, though, and we are almost an hour in. So
we've been doing a lot of ranting, which I don't think is a problem. But
tanking gritty, are the Flyers the worst drafting and development team in the NHL?
I don't. That's such a hard thing to rank because
I think it's kind of not subjective. I don't know. They're up there.
They're up there. Okay, they're way closer. Let me put it this way: are they above average? No. Are they average? No. So they're below average. We can argue about how far down the totem pole they are, but they're distinctly below average, and they're definitely bad at it.
Another question from Vince. Here's my question. How the heck am I ever going to be able to watch his team again after watching Olympic hockey, especially after Canada's McKinnon line? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, we've thought about that a lot, and I don't have a great answer for you.
It's the first thing that we talked about when we started the podcast. It's just hockey that we've been watching has been incredible. It's been extremely good hockey. I wish it would never end, but
I know, right?
Aaron Fraley, what are some positives that we can take?
None. I honestly, we have spent so long trying to take positives out of this shit show of a season that I think it's really just time to be like, no, there are no meaningful positives to take. The meaningful positive to take from this year will be that it's over when that finally happens, mercifully.
Someone's going to be like, Owen Tippett having 2 more points than he did last year. Oh, fuck.
Because we really did. We've dedicated entire episodes to trying to find the needle of a positive thing in the haystack bullshit. And eventually it's just all right, you go ahead with yours because let me not turn this into yet another rant.
No, I don't know what's happening with my connection, but it keeps going out.
Big Tech doesn't want you to be positive.
No, they don't, not at all. But Dan Vladar has been a positive for me. He's been like an objective positive for this team.
Yeah, no, for sure. I have to agree to that. Unfortunately, Dan Vladar playing the way he has enabled some of the BS. So it's like Dan Vladar being a positive is actually a negative in a certain way.
Dan Vladar.
Stop being good at hockey.
I'm going to try to go through these questions fast and wrap this up because I do not know what's going on with this connection. I apologize, people, if it's really bad. But Alex, our boy Alex, what is the realistic package you could think this team could get for Bobby Brink?
Bobby Brink is probably going to be traded for a Bobby Brink-like individual.
Someone said a meatball sandwich and a $25 Visa gift card.
Franco said, Alex, my friend, a package for Bobby Brink. What are we doing here?
A package. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I don't
think
know
Bobby
about
Brink's
that
going
one.
to fetch a package. I do think Bobby Brink's just going to be a player you trade for a player who is more or less similar to Bobby Brink.
I think Bobby Brink's going to be a throw-in in a trade.
Yeah, he could also be that. The only thing is that does somebody say, well, wait a minute, I don't want your mediocre wings to clutter up my wing depth.
Some team will take Bobby Brink.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Dr. Brizgalov, retain half on Risto and trade for a first. Trade Ladar for a first.
The Risto trade, absolutely. I wouldn't even think twice about it. If they can get a first, you get a first. Do I think they can get a first? Absolutely not. I don't think there's a team, even though we know that there are some crazy old men thinking in the league now. I mean, in the league in general, not now. I just don't think. I think his health history scares everyone, to be honest with you. I don't see anybody giving up a first for Rasmus Ristolainen. The only thing I think we can get, the highest pick whether we can get is a second and maybe like a B- C+ prospect. That would be my realistic return for him.
Yeah, I think a lot of we've had a few different assets that we maybe could have gotten a first-round pick for, but all of them have either been traded for a first-round pick or extended.
Took us fucking 20 years to do it with Lawton.
Yeah.
Like we had to literally be grossly overpaid to do it. Here's a 2027 first and Nikita Grubankin for fucking Scott Lawton.
I can't believe
I'm not even going to seriously answer this question. Panarin says, which teams in the league do you think best fit with Michkov? I'm not even going to talk like that's.
Actually, you know what? It's
I guess you
question to answer, not even because, okay, who are we trading Michkov to, but what team do you want the Flyers to look like to best maximize the talents of Michkov?
Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, the answer is Tampa Bay.
I don't even think it's remotely close because Tampa has never. I mean, Stamkos was a 1C at one point in his career.
Yeah, yeah, that was mostly over by the time Kucherov came along. He was probably he was moved to wing shortly thereafter.
Username: What should be their draft philosophy moving forward? I feel like they have a plethora of ceiling mids, bottom six forwards, and potentially reliable defensemen, but nothing eye popping. Swing for the fences on skill, will they even have the mindset to do so? Yeah, I think that's what me and Derek were kind of talking about in the middle of the podcast. Like, that's what they should be doing in terms of like the 12th picks, the back-to-back 12th center picks that they made. Not really swinging for high skill upside there. They're kind of swinging for high floors with those two guys. But, yeah, I mean, that would be my draft philosophy, especially considering what they need and how badly they need it. But
honestly, I think a lot of this team's philosophy needs to change outside of the draft room. And by that, I mean, like, yes, I have a problem with the way they evaluate the center position, but the biggest problem is that by the time they are up ready to pick in the first round, most of the time they're going to have to choose between high skill winger or zero skill center. And
or low stop floor center. Yeah.
Yeah. And until you stop making that choice on yourself, there's no draft philosophy that can stop it. You have to either A, turn Danny Briere into Bill Zito and Harvey Specter your way into a contending team. I'm all for it if you can suddenly pull that off. Or B, you're going to have to bottom out and get a couple of like legitimate, let's say Albert Smiths, and it's tough because I don't want to say Macklin Celebrini because he's been crazy. And it's funny because he's also
good.
He's great. It's funny because there's also like, you know what, Logan Cooley. Logan Cooley is a great example of a center prospect you are never getting outside of the top five, because there was, as much as Logan Cooley's game kind of annoyed me when he was a draft year prospect because his decision making was all over the place, and that used to bother me a lot more than it does. The simple reality is that there was nothing physical wrong with his game. If he refined that decision making, and he ultimately did, you were going to get a top 6 center at the very least, and probably once he hits his prime, a number 1 center. That every NHL team had that evaluation, more or less. And so you had the Flyers apparently wanted to trade up for him, but the Arizona wouldn't ever make that trade because they needed him, because every NHL team needs a guy like that. And the Flyers have put themselves in a position where that's the guy they need. Like, they've done a good job of getting guys like a Matvei Michkov, like a Porter Martone, to where I don't think they have to sit here and tank for 10 years to hope maybe they get Sidney Crosby. I don't think it's that bad. But I do think we are going to have to pay the piper a little bit here and get like one legitimate high draft pick that we can use on a center who is credible in the role of a 1C, or a defenseman who is credible in the role of a number 1 defenseman. You're going to need at least one of those two things. I think if you have the one, you can make the absence of the other not hurt so much. I do think that is viable. But what isn't really viable has been the strategy of the last 3 years, which is, well, we understand that we need elite talent at the center position. How are we going to get it? I have no idea. But we understand that we need it. And one day, 7 years from now, we are going to acquire a center because the Vegas Golden Knights are going to say, please, Danny, please acquire Jack Eichel from me. I don't even want you to pay me. I am literally giving you Jack Eichel for free. One day, that's going to happen. And then all the Flyers beat reporters, and I'm not even going at them about this, they're going to have to go and say, well, we don't know that it won't happen. We don't know for a fact that the Vegas Golden Knights won't 2 years from now say, Danny, please, Danny, please take Jack Eichel from us for absolutely nothing.
Who's to say the Sharks don't trade Celebrini to us? I mean, like, you never know what happens.
Who's to say that the Sharks just don't go, Danny, you know what you need in your life? Macklin Celebrini. You should take
Will Smith
for Bobby Brink.
Actually, Derek's over here saying that centers don't fall out of the top 5 when James Hagan and Jake O'Brien were 7 and 8 last year.
Ah, true. Well, actually, wait. They moved James Hagan to wing.
Yeah, they did. But Jake O'Brien, that's a guy that you love, 8th.
That's
such a good pick for them, dude.
I know. How does Seattle keep getting these damn centers?
Derek, how much better would you feel with Jake O'Brien instead of Jet Luchanko?
Oh, well,
Jake O'Brien instead of Nesbitt. I'm sorry.
I think I'd live every day as if it was the greatest day on planet Earth. I would wake up in the morning and the birds would be chirping. They would be singing love songs to the Flyers.
It sucks because that was your guy going into the draft.
Oh, I know. If they took him over Porter Martone, I would have been perfectly happy.
Yeah, I know. You were on the record for saying that.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add? I think we're going to wrap this one up.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty decent time to wrap this up. If we go on any longer, I'm going to start ranting even harder. And at that point, I can't be responsible for what I say.
Real quick before we do go, prediction on the first 3 games back. We're in Washington the 25th, in New York against the Rangers the 26th, and then home against Boston the 28th.
Oh, God damn it. They're going to go on a 2-game win streak. I hate it. They're probably going to come out of the break looking real good against Washington and New York. They're literally, they're going to win convincingly. Like 4-1 against Washington, and then 4-2, 5-3 against New York. And then they're going to get spanked against Boston because they always do.
Yeah, Boston's a home game, 3:00 on ABC.
10-1. Easy.
Oh, my God. This has been episode 124 of The Liberty Yell. You can follow The Liberty Yell on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and then Derek at Suitable Alias. And go Floor.